Ministry of Public Works and Infrastructure, of course. They have outdone Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. You know, they have outdone Ministry of Agriculture. They have outdone Ministry of Environment. Because when you go down to engage people within the system, you realize that the knowledge about what this commitment area is about and how critical it is for service delivery in Kaduna State is not something that has really trickled down within the system. So that said, the goal for this particular action plan, as lifted from the action plan commitment here, is effective and efficient procurement system, evident in better contract outcomes that guarantee value for money, transparency, accountability, and robust civic participation. Now you see, some of these words here are the reasons why you see us making demands that certain things are not available. If you want to strengthen accountability, certainly transparency must enable that. If transparency is not in place, the issue of accountability will just be a mere statement. Govt captured it correctly when he said that we just go to do site visits, not really procurement monitoring. Because this accountability that we're talking about is not just about whether the projects have been delivered. It's also about, it's beyond the issue of even quality of project delivery. It's about what is the process that have delivered this procurement. Is it in line with that public procurement law? Is it in line with the public procurement guidelines? So many times, if you do not get to the point where you are able to access the relevant information that can preempt you guessing, guessing is easy. People can speculate, right? But when you have relevant data, you are able to really say to government, oh, this is what we see concerning this particular project. We have gone to places where people will tell you, government project in a public school. They will tell you, the contractor will tell the community that you people should be lucky. Somebody is coming to do this thing for you. Do you even know how this project came about? And before you know, community people begin to become afraid. You know, the contractor will tell you easily, look, go and tell the governor. The choir must have had that before. Severally. If you are walking around WashCom, you hear people say, go and tell the governor. What is it? What do you have to do? I have no business with you. Contractors do a lot of that at the site. And that is why, as people who are served, we go back to our servants and say, give us the account of this particular procurement. No, don't disturb the contractor. Because the person who sent the contractor to field have all the information that we need. And the contractor has a contract to serve us through that particular client. And the client, in most instances, is the procurement entity or the ministry, department, or agency of government implementing projects. So where we are currently is that there is low level of civic participation and ownership in public procurement in Kaduna State. I don't know if any of you finds it strange or have never seen a situation where a beautifully laid road is being dug out by communities to just lay a pipe across. Have you seen that happen? Have you seen people haul all of their refuse into the drainage? Whether it is rainy season or dry season, they just sweep it in there. It tells you that for these guys, they don't really know who this procurement is for. You go to places, you see schools that have been turned into open latrines. Some students have to go to class, sweep fecal matter out of the classrooms before they are able to attend lessons for a day. And these are just because there is that absence of ownership. And thankfully, we can give it up to Kaduna State government, even in the infrastructure master plan for Kaduna State. This challenge is aptly captured lack of ownership. We have inadequate information and access to procurement data across all the sectors. And this should have come first. But I have actually captured it in the same order it is in the plan. Because this is the major reason why the civic participation is low in the first place. Because when people cannot have access to information, when people cannot go to this portal and readily click and get data, when the Citizens Feedback app came out, there was so much excitement about it. But when people will go download an app that does not provide them adequate information about procurement, they just uninstall the app or abandon it. No more usage. And that is because there is inadequate information. So what are these obstacles? Unavailability of useful procurement information at various stages of the procurement process. Permit me to go a little deeper into this matter. When you had Govt talk about the Community Development Charter yesterday, how it informs local government budget, how it also informs state budget as we have desired. I think we will be successful with that in the 2022 budget, hopefully. Courtesy of Ministry of Health and a few other sectors. And also, of course, Planning and Budget Commission, who have opened the doors through the Open Government Partnership Commitment on Open Budget. When communities say we want hospital, they may justify why they want that hospital. But rarely will the community, in fact, it is not given that the community will say, build us a hospital of 150 million naira. It is usually the specification of what they have requested that informs that estimate on the budget. And that in itself, I think, is the beginning of the procurement process where planning begins to happen. When this happens, communities should know when government may have designed that procurement, when government may have decided that, well, we have done all of the estimates, communities are expected to find that captured aptly in the procurement plan. For people within civil society space who have heard us talk about how our budget is lumped up, how you can see rehabilitation of primary healthcare centers across the state. Usually it is said across the state, and you see one certain figures of billions, right? It doesn't tell you where this is happening. But the procurement plan, I believe, gives you details of where and where these projects will be sited. So when communities request for particular services or procurement from government, this is where they are expected to find it, in the procurement plan. At that time, when government says, oh, we are now initiating this project, communities are now aware that the bill of quantity is ready, or bill of engineering measurements and estimates are ready, and then the design of this construction work is ready. Oh, if it is training, the modules for the training, what the training is about as described, is already set. If it is one particular consultancy or the other, the details are set. So communities can now confidently approach the ministry and say, we want information on this. That is, I'm just trying to talk about the process. Because this process is not just about awarding projects. When we say citizens should participate at every stage of it, it means that citizens can access information when government is planning, citizens can access information about government initiating the project, citizens can access information when the bidding selection thing is ongoing. I have seen tender analysis in time past. Fidelis, you may have gone to Super one time and you will see list of contractors on the wall, some scoring for them, and then you see Q saying qualified on technical bids. And these are the things that we're asking. Right? So if government have placed that on notice board in the ministry, department, or agency of government that you can walk in and see, we're just saying put it up too online so that people can click and know why this particular contractor qualifies for this project more than any other person. Technical bid, they call it. By the time that selection period have passed, it's award. Thankfully, he said something yesterday that when you get the contract award document, you see the duration within which the project is supposed to hold and elapse. Is it 6 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? Is it 6 months? Is it 18 months? It's stated on the contract award letter. But that simple, small document that is mostly 1 page, you write to ministries, departments, and agencies of government, you don't get it. When you go to the procurement portal, the open contracting portal, you also don't find that kind of information. So these are the obstacles across on the process. Now, sometimes you may see people go on site and say, the project has been abandoned. They went there and the community told them it's been 3 weeks or 3 months since we've seen this contractor. But a simple valuation report, right? Extension requests that have been granted, those copies, those documents coming from the MDA can inform the community better as to whether government is still carrying on with this project or it has been revoked, or no, there is a particular reason why some adjustments are being made, an extension has been granted, and all of that. Citizens can't know that. So when you provide that kind of gap, all they can do is speculate. Thankfully, some of these engagements and our engagement with government is also exposing to us that this transparency we are talking about is not just government, it's not just government to citizens, it's also government to government. Some departments within the same ministry, department, and agency of government will not share with each other details of procurement. Some agencies will write and request for information about procurement and they won't get it. We know that thankfully KADBEAM has remained resolute and committed that yes, these things are not in, just disclose it. But we want to see a culture of practice within the system that enables availability of useful data. Next to that is that MDAs are unable to proactively disclose procurement information for citizens to access. You heard that yesterday when KADBEAM shared with us, the DG represented by Onazi here, has shared with us that the gap is in the fact that these ministries, departments, and agencies of government are themselves responsible for uploading this data by themselves on the OCP. So their inability, and that is why I asked again the question, have they been trained? Right? Have we trained the procurement guys in all of these ministries to really use the open contracting portal to upload information as they happen? Next to it is that transparency levels inadequate to strengthen accountability. Fiscal transparency is not measured by how much information you are putting out. It's more measured by how relevant that information is for citizens to use effectively. It's important that when Fiscal Responsibility Commission, for instance, is asking details about procurement in a particular MDA, all of the information that they will require to really certify that this particular budget item has been executed to the fullest, right? It's made available to them. But you will find that when Ministry of Education give an award for contract, They don't even have information at all whether the payments have been made. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have no info. Once they have raised the documents for clearance. Oh, clear us, we have finished this project. They have no evidence that this contractor has been paid, except when the contractor visits them back to say, I have not seen this money. And most of the time, the contractor will not even come back there. He will focus more on the agencies of government that are responsible for release and for payment. So you can see that transparency, as far as the fiscal side is concerned, again, is also a blind spot even for MDA's executive projects. Now, the action that this action plan is set to achieve is that open contracting data standards will be strengthened through the use of technology for timely publication of data at all stages of the procurement process. At all stages. Onazi, please look at that thing. It says at all stages. So we cannot be comfortable when all the information you can get is only at the stage of award. You should be able to get more information even when the project is being implemented. There is something I usually ask. Government will hold some monies back, a particular percentage of the procurement amount. What do you call that thing? Is it retention? When they hold back that retention, is that retention not part of the budget? So when we have finished a particular fiscal year and probably we don't have details when that retention has been paid, can we say that we can write that item off our budget list that we have executed? But when we don't have access to that kind of information, it makes the process more opaque. Now, what does this action want to impact? First, transparency. The disclosure of procurement data and information across the entire procurement cycle. Like I said earlier, this is picked directly off the action plan on this particular commitment. So we're not doctoring it. This is the way it is. Accountability. That enhanced disclosure will make the decision makers take actions that reflect better use of public resources. And of course, citizens can rely on this effectively to really say that this project or this particular procurement has been delivered upon. In service delivery, the issue of unethical conduct, the issue of sharp practices and corruption is dealt with automatically by this particular commitment if these actions are taken. And that is because, and then we are talking about inclusion, where technology provides wider stakeholder participation. And also, there is that reduction of that man-to-man conversation around the procurement. If I go to Malam Moazu's office and he sees my face, maybe he didn't enjoy himself last night, and I walk in the morning and I'm trying to make him go through files and what have you, that, oh, I need this information. He may not like, right? And then in the event that I'm not somebody who is resilient like Madam Rahila here, I might end up saying, Kai, this thing is not working. When it's better, let me just abandon it some other time. Right? So, and that is also one of the reasons why you will see citizens after all the excitement, oh, the process is open, let's go and get data, let's ask questions, let's engage. And then when they meet that kind of barrier, they shy away, they believe that it is not working, and they rarely can be convinced again to revisit such issues. We have citizens' engagement and around public procurement, and this is very, very important. Because without this level of participation from citizens, the issue of ownership cannot even come about. I went to Sokoto some time ago and found that in Sokoto, if a governor builds a bridge, it is named after him. Not that he called it by his own name, but the community will call it by his name. And then you can imagine what will happen when that bridge collapses. You know, it's written in their minds that Alu, you know, they call Aliu Alu. So you say Gadan Alu, Gadan Bafara. So when they are saying it like that, it can tell you categorically when anything goes wrong concerning that procurement, that person's name will also go down with it. And you can't beat how a citizenry that understands the purpose for which a particular project is being done for them will take ownership of it. I went to Kudan, in Kudan, Kauranwali particularly. I found that the SBMC community, after the knowledge they have now about how much this procurement was done for them, decided that all that football playing activity in the school must stop. And right now, if schools are shut down for 3 months, the school in Kauranwali's gates will be locked until when the community or SBMC community have a special issue to discuss concerning school. Then they will come down and meet there. But the issue of that school being open for any public activity indiscriminately has been shut. And whether there are jungle boys there or not, the community have taken ownership and have told their people there, this school facility must remain in good condition. And that is because at that time, when the procurement was awarded, they had the bill of quantity, they engaged students. Anything that was amiss, they gave feedback. Where is Govt? Because I want this, mine is a conversation, it's not a lecture. Govt here will have told us how a particular community noticed that there was a fence to be provided in a particular procurement for their school. And when they saw fencing on the bill of quantity, they said, this school is fenced. How can they get it? They said this school is fenced. Instead of fencing, maybe you should carry this money and renovate these particular blocks for us. Does that not make sense? But in the event that they didn't have this information, the needs assessment said the school should be fenced. And then the contractor comes and finds that the school has already been fenced. He will just do tyroline on the wall. And when you come, Fiscal Responsibility Commission comes, you will see that, when Planning and Budget Commission comes to monitor procurement, they will say, this guy has done a good work. But the fence predates the procurement that he came to execute there. And that is because when communities are involved, you get to know the other issues around it. So, what are the activities that this particular action plan proposes or commits to? First is increased access to information on procurement at various stages. I like how these stages is reflected here. And until all these stages that we're talking about are open, right? That MDAs can also come in and ask questions. Can we have this? Can we have that? And citizens can also have access to the same information. We cannot say that there is disclosure of adequate information. Now, there is also the issue of increased compliance through procurement audits of MDAs and local governments in Kaduna State by producing procurement audit report. Thankfully, we will have an MSF section where we can address some issues on our own part there. Because certainly, I'm sure, both government and citizen of stakeholders on public procurement enhance and restructure the e-procurement portal. This one, I know by now, Onazi and his DG have memorized all of these activities by heart. But it's very important for us to understand that we will continue to press on until this integration of the eyes and ears, the Microsoft Navision, which our deity here on Open Budget was the one who represented the Open Government Partnership at the launch, to be integrated. And then together with the OCDS. What this means is that as the procurement process begins on e-procurement, we're expecting that automatically there is an upload on the Open Contracting Portal. What that means is that as MDAs send in their procurement plans and then it's uploaded on the e-procurement portal, we expect that when we go to the Open Contracting Portal, we will see these projects as they are, but not awarded, or probably at that particular stage where it is planned. When is the expected time for it to be awarded or initiated? It is of course expected to be set there. And then publish transparency and accountability ranking. It is good for us to begin to score our MDAs. I know that Auditor General's office is doing something close to that, but it's not really ranking. Auditors just go, and if you don't have a problem, you don't get an award for not having a problem. You just get a clean bill of health for doing well. Nobody gives you a pat on the back and says, well done. But in our own space here, we want to see that we really have a place to honor MDAs that are really transparent. Go back, please. And then there is the quarterly review of transparency and accountability performance of ministries, departments, and agencies on procurement data on the OCDS portal to deepen transparency and accountability culture in government institutions in Kaduna State on public procurement. Gentlemen, what this means is that we are interested in knowing which MDAs in Kaduna State are really complying to these reform initiatives. We don't want it to remain a conversation that Auditor General's office picks develops a report, shares with the State House of Assembly, and you see queries carried over from 2-3 years ago, still revolving, unresolved. Unresolved. We keep carrying them forward, unresolved. We want to begin to have a common space where this performance is not just known to the ministries that are involved in this, but it is known to all of us as citizens, as government in the outside and government inside. Right? So, having said all this, what do you think are the opportunities for you? Because certainly I know persons with disability are represented in this meeting. We know that the State House of Assembly is represented in this meeting. We also see professional bodies are represented in this meeting. We have KADBEAM, which is also linked to the World Development Committees around the health sector. We have SBMC in this room. We have KADBEAM in this room. We have people from the academia. CATSPAC is here. And then we have community persons. And we have government institutions too. Especially the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, the Auditor General's Office. What do you think are the opportunities from all that we have shared? I hope that you have also questions that you may want clarity around what I have discussed now. And then we deal with it. I will not answer your questions. The ones for Onazi will be answered by Onazi. The one for Sani Mohammed will also be answered by him. I can only shed more light on gray areas, right? So, what is in it for you? What do you think are the opportunities here?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Presenter. To be honest and to be precise, if all that it contains in this document can be implemented 50, 60 or 70%, honestly speaking, we will see an obvious development in our society. And the only thing I think which will be an obstacle is the gap between the masses and the government. In between, that is only the gray area where I think we need to improve.
Thank you very much. That's an indictment on civil society, and it's good. Okay. Let me start with my chairman before I come to Goje's chairman.
A very good morning to you all. The opportunity for me here is definitely that of building synergy. Here, present in this hall is plethora of constituencies and interests. And cross-learning is of the highest order. Just yesterday, I got to learn from the man, my gentleman here, where is he? That there are different grades of even cement for building. There's a separate one for building structures, there's one for building bridges. So you see, the cross-learning is always there, and it has been a great opportunity for us to always learn from each other so that it will reflect or impact on whatever we're supposed to do in a little comfort zone. And today I have known, so if a contractor mobilizes to site in any primary or secondary school in my community, I will check the bags of cement, and then he has told me how to contact Koren or then call their hotline to find out such information. So there are a lot of opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my chairman. I'll be coming to you shortly, sir.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Okay. What are the opportunities? Opportunity number one is the fact that I think since Kaduna State signed into the UGP, we've been talking about enhancing fiscal transparency. One of the opportunities that this presentation and the detail contains is the need to also to start talking about transparency in monetary policy, because both of them go together. While fiscal is basically looking at the processes, we should also look at the opportunities of talking about actions. Secondly, I also think the beauty about this second action plan is the fact that these commitments, for this particular commitment on the UGP, I think governments made these commitments. And so the opportunity is number one, to find out whether government really understands what it is committing to or not, so that by the time citizens start using these commitments to hold them accountable, they should not think that citizens or CS are pressing, but rather we are using what they have committed to hold them accountable. The next one is talking about, I want to talk about is the activities there. One of the activities that has greater opportunities is the one around media, using the media to sensitize citizens. Yeah, I think it's something that I have closely worked with KADBEAM, and it's something that I have stressed on the importance of using media to sensitize citizens around e-procurement. Then the fourth opportunity is the one for, I do not know how we're going to work around it, but yesterday Martins had mentioned this to you, that for CS at the state level, some of these processes are very easy to understand, comprehend, and follow through. But again, we might have opportunities around how do we make these processes seamless, understandable, in easy way to comprehend for citizens at the local level. Because in as much as citizens want to be part of the process, if there is no ownership, the processes don't work. So if I'm engaging in a process as a citizen in Sanga, in one of those villages, I want to see the outcome of the process that I'm engaging. It's only by doing that that I can have faith in governance. Because like I say, that the difference between faith and distrust in governance is information, relevant information at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So part of the opportunities I see here is the opportunity that the government have to also leverage on non-governmental organizations or non-state actors in general, to leverage their expertise, to leverage the expertise, their resource, and a lot of other influential things they can do. Previously, it used to be more the government team, which is normally not enough. So now the government will have to further take more steps forward to open up more process, to also see non-governmental organizations as partners, to also see how we can work together to improve on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me say that the opportunity, let me start on the opportunity that created by this forum is very, very vital. Especially, I know that among these participants, maybe some of them, the issue of inclusive is one of the major things that should be considered, and maybe they are not aware of it fully. But this opportunity, we get the increase of awareness that inclusive among the citizenship is very, very important, because what you like as a citizen is the one that I like. We have an equal opportunity in the nation development, in the state development, and in the local government development. I can remember, yesterday one of my colleagues has been talking on the quota or percentage of people with disabilities. We are not talking, his attempt is not talking that when it comes to procurement or issue of contract, so that there is people with disabilities, they are requested that to reduce or to do something for them, that if to say that a contract is going to give at the rate of 10 million naira, so that because of him, is going to give him as 8 or 12 because of his situation. We are equal. But our aspiration is that when it comes to ours, it's not ours. It's those people that are thinking that we cannot do it. I'm doing contract. I think in 2016, when I saw one tender and I applied, I have the interest in it and I applied. After filling the application form, and I think that I'm among of the success of that contract. So that the director called, who has this company, he wants to see him. So when I was invited, the first question that he wanted to ask me that, are you able to do it? So he thinks that I cannot do it. So that no matter the possibility or the ability that I put in place on that contract, that it seemed that maybe I cannot do it all by the help of somebody. And I answered him that I can do it. At the end of the day, that the contract has been given to our company, and we did it successfully. At the end of the day, that we are included. Is it in the Kaduna state? We are included. Whenever it comes to procurement, when we go there, maybe if the director is a new person to that office, so that his colleagues, his staff can easily tell him that no, they can do it. So that.
What ministry is that? You said the director.
Okay, no, officer, is if to say that if I disclose it here, I think that is.
And please know that he is the estate to the governor on disability matters. So as the meeting continues, if you want to link up with him, he's here. We are also here to network with one another and leverage on our resources.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to say that looking at the realities behind why some of these reforms are taking place, we have a lot of opportunities in that direction because whether we like it or not, the major enablers for this reform is the economic transformation program for results, which is the World Bank support in terms of the loan, and the SIFTAS program. So it is important that we go back and look at these documents and see what the state government has committed to doing that in order to qualify to benefit from all of these grants and loans that we're enjoying. Because motivation is key. And it is important that we leverage on such kind of motivations to really always remind government based on those commitments in the agreements to ensure that they implement most of these activities captured in the OGP platform.
Thank you very much. After Lima, there will be room for only 2 people. Okay. Do I see their hands now? They don't exist. Okay. Okay, I've seen 2 people. But one person is a community.
Well, mostly when I'm involved in this issue of procurement, I always look at the common man, the person that will benefit from these processes. And one thing that really stands out is the security of this procurement, the deliverables, the infrastructures that are being delivered to the communities and the people. And once the citizens did not take ownership of these particular infrastructures, we find out that they are wasted. So I see an opportunity where a sort of a relationship will be created between the government and the citizens, that these things that are being done for you are for you. Just like the story you shared. If the people are involved and they know the importance of these particular procurement processes, they will really own up these infrastructures, and I think they will last. The issue of security, the issue of so many resources being expended on security will now be diverted to other critical areas of the community.
Thank you very much. Yes, where social inequality exists, certainly insecurity is promoted. Go.
Okay. Thank you for the second opportunity. Another opportunity is after all the motivation that the state is getting as a result of making this commitment, so what? For me, that's another opportunity, because these motivations will not continue. We know that some of these activities are tied to DLIs, and that is motivation for government to do all of this. But after that, so what? That is our opportunity. Then opportunity number 2. I don't know. We shouldn't take lightly. During your presentation, you make something that we shouldn't take lightly. For me, that's opportunity. Lack of fiscal transparency, not from the part of government to citizen, but government to government. Now, if you study development administration, I think it's something that KADBEAM needs to take forward. 1, have we been able to define who are those MDAs along fiscal transparency line? Because if it's a fallout of yesterday's discussion, if every ministry or every agency decides to start developing app to enhance fiscal transparency, how do we now get that seamless integration that we are looking for? In simple reality, what development administration will tell you to do is 1, identify all the MDAs along procurement line, if that's what we're talking about. Bring all of them to the table. Let us from the scratch develop a particular whatever we want to do that will bring all on the table. But if we continue to have this process or this, where we have everyone developing just because we want to make name, just because we want to, at the end of the day, what we are looking for, the result we are looking for will not be achieved. I think that is another opportunity. How government can be transparent, to government is something for me that we should take forward as opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, JJ. Oh, 2 more people have emerged, and all of them have authority. So before my bosses will sack me, let me make sure that they are well placed. I want the Office of the Auditor General to give the last contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martins and everybody. Just a rider on JJ's point. It's actually becoming a norm that almost every MDA wants to build their own app, while we are working towards the integration of the existing ones. I would want to suggest that there's an opportunity that we should try to leverage on, and this is free of charge, we don't need to pay anything. Can we look at e-procurement portals or OCDS portals like those that exist in Zambia and Mexico, Ukraine? These are free. Just go online and Google them. I think those are examples of OCDS portals that are working to the best of my ability of how an OCDS portal or integration should actually work, especially that of Zambia. I think it's zppa.org.zm/OCDS data. And these are things that we can do freely. We can sit with the government partners, examine. We don't need to pay for any travel, for any lesson learning. We sit down in a room, look at these portals and see how we can work together to make ours, even better than some of those. So I think it's an opportunity for us.
Certainly. I'm thinking that when it comes to public procurement, it's like Kaduna is trying to be an example for all. We're not comfortable being like Zambia, like Ukraine. We want to be an example for all because most of it now is having the contribution and thoughts of the citizens saying transparency should be at this level. No, I agree with what you are saying, but we have not gotten to those guys' levels yet. That's what I'm saying. And when we get there, we'll still not be comfortable until the bar is raised high enough.
Good morning, participants. I'm Muhammad Awa. The opportunity which I would like to suggest for the government to leverage on is the issue of developing an ethical and sustainable supply chain, which will be charged with the responsibility of dissemination of not data per se, but information and other resources from the source to the end users. And this type of the supply chains are chains that linked one sector of the government with the other. That is from top to bottom, as well as from bottom to the top. And in developing this type of supply chains, we are not looking at supply chain in terms of distribution of goods or anything of that nature. But supply chain is something that encompasses issues of dissemination of both money, information, and other resources that aids development in whatever society one happen to find himself. And one better way of doing it is not just to look at what your opponents are doing. You have identified a problem and you have institutions, especially academic institutions, which are not utilized to the core. You liaise with these institutions, charge them with the responsibility of developing something for you that which can be used in developing whatever you want as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamila, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Okay, so opportunities. I want to speak also on the simplification, making the procurement process more comprehensible to the local land. And I would say I'm seeing opportunities for translation of the procurement law. I know that we have supported the translation of the procurement guideline, which was taken by the 4 taxes, myself, other partners, as We Care Foundation. So I'm seeing opportunity. Now, in this regard, I also want to be part of the academia that we can leverage on those special knowledge to translate the procurement law to be able, to the level of a citizen, for someone at the grassroots level to pick and read and understand. Maybe a civil society to be able to utilize a uniform kind of document to enlighten the general public about the procurement process. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. We are going to come to you. Every government agency that is here, I want you to tell me the opportunity you see. That might if you don't talk. We want the citizens to talk first. In this case, if government talks, it's like so short to go for anger money. But let's start from you, and then we go to Malam Abbas.
Good morning, all.
House of Assembly, I'm coming.
I'm from the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. First of all, I want to thank the pioneers of these programs, PERL, from Govt to your team. I was in the Fiscal Responsibility Commission to ensure the prudent management of public funds. And that is why we are always encouraging, each time we're having such a program we attend. I think this is about 3 or so times here in Zaria we've all attended. Now, one of the opportunities is that we have learned a lot on public procurement. The lesson here is that let's get back to the grassroots. Government is a teamwork. Government is citizen. Government is the people that constitute that government either at the state level or federal level. Now let's get back. Government cannot do it alone. KADBEAM cannot do it alone. All of us that are here as beneficiaries of this lesson, we should take the lesson back to the grassroots. Tell our people, as far as public procurement is concerned, these are the procedures. Making sure that whatever material that is going to use in building our school, such materials should be qualitative, quality in it, so that they do not compromise. When a contractor is trying to compromise on the use of material to put in constructing other schools or whatever, the common man at that level will now understand that, how to monitor based on the information of this procurement. Yes, there are reforms by KADBEAM and other reforms, but this reform will be meaninless if the information is not taken to the grassroots for us to use. Now, each time we say government, each time we say KADBEAM, each time we say Ministry of this, we collectively have to go back to the grassroots, help government from the local government to the end user of these opportunities or infrastructure that we put on ground, so that they will know and help government to monitor, so that we have standard of living, standard of constructions of whatever school, roads, and so on and so forth. Now, it's a duty for all of us here to know that we are part of government and we have to do our duty as such. Now, we in the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, it will interest to know that while we are attending these lectures or learning from this organization, is to make sure that we don't compromise. We are the watchdog of the state. All MDAs and local government, they should better be reminded that there is fiscal responsibility on ground. And I want it to be interesting to know that already our men are now working in the Ministry of Agriculture, because last year funds were released for dry season farming, with to be precise. And up to this moment, there's no report on ground to show how they must have expended that money. They have spent the money. So our men are there working to trace out, they must have come out authentic report to show that the public funds are genuinely being used. Otherwise, we still come and sit down here or benefit from all lectures, and then we go back and sit down at home and wait for somebody else to come. There is no magic. If government is for the people, by the people, then all of us have a duty to work together, to work as a team to make government succeed. Thank you very much. I wish you all a happy celebration.
Thank you so much. We are very encouraged to hear government respond positively to this information.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Actually, my presence here has even shown that in the office of the Director General, there's a lot to do. And part of the major mandates is the auditing of public accounts across all MDS. And the key activities is monitoring and evaluation of projects, which is necessary for the citizens to know what is happening with the public funds. The issue of reforms entails this accountability and transparency, and it's one of our own core values. Actually, our participation here is very, very limited for us to be able to contribute more. But what I'm suggesting, if there's a way, you can pay us a courtesy visit so that we can discuss and highlight and be able to know where and how we can come in. And also on the issue of these obstacles that you have presented, I would like to suggest most of these MTS that are on contract, they have service charter that spells out the key activities and the services provided and the way they provided it. There's also a way of the citizens that can bring out their complaint or suggestions. So if you can have access to that service charter, it will in no way contribute to the citizens' engagement.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, sir.
I think so far so good. Health has keyed in through the Kaduna Maternal Accountability Mechanism, and the opportunities there are very vast. I've seen a way of integrating, integration of all the systems within all the sectors. Like for example, health relating to the budget and planning very well, and other sectors even with the PPA, and also the digitalization of this very system has somewhat, improved services to some extent, reduced workload, and also brought ease to actually work. And I think in a way of summary, these procurement processes has actually increased more transparency, accountability to the whole system. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I spoke as a citizen.
Okay, you want to speak as government.
Well, we at the Ministry for Local Government have always been championing the issue of reforms that will transform service delivery at the local government. And we are ever ready to continue on that line. As you are aware, the Ministry is the entry point to each and every local government. And any reform that will facilitate issue of e-procurement at the local government will be a welcome development. We have been championing it. It has been part of the LIFTAS program, and we'll continue to hammer it so that these things are being domesticated at the local government level. Thank you.
Thank you. So certainly you provide funds for the training of local government councils or OCDS and also the procurement process. Because we'll still come back later for commitment. The State House of Assembly will come back to you. You will tell us how relevant all of these things we have said is to the oversight function that the House of Assembly renders in Kaduna State. Let's hear now from Ministry of Education.
You have seen the activities, the entire overview of the open contracting committee. Okay.
Sorry. He wants me to talk, and I informed me actually I'm attending a different meeting. My mind is divided. Actually, I don't want to commit anything that I don't understand. But I want him to explain what he wants me to drag for before I say anything. Sorry, I'm just attending another meeting.
Okay. Certainly the conversation will continue. And we'll get to the point where I know by the time we get to commitments, you will have finished your meeting and you will have caught up with what it is we are discussing. So, the State House of Assembly does oversight function around all of these issues we are talking about. We have learned that, in fact, before the budget is passed by them, they do an implementation audit of the budget on their own part, before that budget is considered. Now, year in, year out, these oversight functions happen. And nonetheless, notwithstanding rather, we still get to see procurements that are not as desired around implementation. All of these things that we have spoken about, what opportunities do you see for the State House of Assembly around its function, constitutional, role and responsibility?
Good morning. Actually, you said it before the budget defense. All the MDAs come before the committee chairman and they present their budget performance of the previous years and they present the one of the next year. So the opportunity I see actually here is, I think if you can carry the members, because most of these projects are carried out, they are domiciled in their various constituencies. So if you involve the members, despite the fact they go for oversight, but every member has his own committee, so you cannot be everywhere. So if you can carry them along and they use their legislative assistants to be part of it, I think they can monitor most of these projects for you. So,
now, for us to carry them along, we have to carry the weight of the speaker behind us. So I know you are representing that assembly in this meeting. And we civil society are very much interested in having advocates everywhere. So we want to know if that enabling environment can also be created for us in the assembly to carry on.
Yeah, I assure you that because I'm here from the office of the speaker, so and he directed me to represent him here. So Mr. Evan is here too.
Yes.
I'm sure you will have that.
Thank you very much. I think this is very instructive. We will leverage on that. We will count on that support. Sorry, your hand is coming up late. I have just one person, one boss. If I don't give him the mic, my lunch might get missing.
Am I in charge of lunch?
I don't know.
All right. For me, the take home or the opportunity is this. I've learned quite a lot here. I've been very ignorant about a lot of things after the procurement. And I keep saying that most of us here are members of the elite group of society. And if at our levels we are not very acquainted with what happens in government, you can imagine what the bulk of the population is like. Now, for my association, the Nigerian Bar Association, most people are like me, a lot ignorant about what happens. Now, I want to leverage on the opportunities to promote transparency in the state by sending the idea to my colleagues. I say, for instance, we have over 1,000 lawyers in Kaduna. There's no local government in the state that has less than maybe 100 lawyers or 50 lawyers. And if half the population of lawyers in the state take up the task of keeping government on our toes, engaging the government in those, using the opportunities of platforms like Budeshi and all that, eyes and ears, we will do a lot more than what the common citizen will do. I want to specifically set the NBA, the chair of the NBA, the idea of setting up like a committee that has to do engage the government on procurement. Whatever designation it will get, I really don't know for now. What we would do is to be more involved with government activities and ensure that they follow things and bring things to the fore for people to know. As they say that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. So we are eternally vigilant about the activities of government. We will really not enjoy what we like to call the dividends of democracy. And I think it's a very, very good opportunity for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ebel?
I am so delighted that quite a number of us have identified opportunities and engagements going forward. And part of the things that is the core mandate of PERL is to bring stakeholders, government and citizens together. And you can see that's part of the things when we talk about networking from each of the meetings. So if you are here, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, House of Assembly, Forum, Office of the General, Minister of Health, Minister of Education, a drama group, and some of the other professional groups that are here, Nigerian Bar Association, you can hear every one of us have talked about networking and leveraging on another potentials. And the reason why we are doing that is just to ensure that everybody, all the stakeholders, if there are issues we need to engage the government on, we'll be able to take some of those issues constructively. Like I mentioned in, I think in our previous meetings, Kaduna State government signed what we call Mutual Accountability Framework, and they have some deliverables. And the deliverables are all noted inside there. I think it was shared on the OGP platform recently for people to see and know where can we key in, where can we hold government to account based on that. Now, like you know, PERL is two pillars right now. There is the pillar that supports the government. For those of us who were here, the last engagement we had, you saw my colleague from the government side, Ashiru Sani. He came here to do opening remarks and to tell you the connectivity between PERL and government, between PERL and citizens. Now, the first pillar work around reform in government institutions. That is their mandate. While the second pillar work around civil society groups, professional association, media, and the State House of Assembly. So you can see that what we do is, if you take the government people, and I take the civil society, there is always a meeting point in the middle. And if, for instance, budget from the government is not reaching the citizens, I will turn to my colleague and say, Ashiru, this budget, the citizens are yet to see the budget. And it is the responsibility of Ashiru to clear all blockages, to ensure that that budget, either through me or directly to the citizens, is communicated, to ensure that the citizens can pick up that budget, look at the budget, make input to the budget, and then submit either directly to the government or to the State House of Assembly, as we did earlier. Abbas had mentioned, and then Goje also mentioned, yes, the 2022 budget was analyzed and feedback was shared with the State House of Assembly. And the government from that point also took a commitment that they are going to look at some of the critical areas that citizens had made input to ensure that that area are reprioritized. So again, you can see that if there is no connect between the citizens and the government, that means there will be, it will give us some chaotic situation. But what PERL is just to do in Kaduna State is to ensure we, the citizens, will prepare the citizens to engage the government so that they hold the government to account on some of this. We have trained all the 23 local government areas on tracking procurement processes. And to ensure that we also round up the activity is this public policy dialogue we are holding now. And you've heard Peter on several occasions have raised a number of things. And all of us also saw the responses Peter has provided based on some of those things. Where next can we also leverage on the potential and opportunity KADBEAM will provide to us, Minister of Education will provide to us, Minister of Health will provide to us, Office of the Accountant General, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, and all the other government agencies, particularly the State House of Assembly, because State House of Assembly is the representative of the people. We, from all our constituents, employ the people. We elect the members of the State House of Assembly, and they are our representatives. And if we have blockages and whatever issues, we need to also engage our legislators from the local level. Are there burning issues from your local government areas that you think your policymaker can make headway in the state or in the floor of the State House of Assembly, particularly in the area of procurement, particularly in tracking procurement issues in your local government areas. So those are critical issues that we are bringing to the fore. And it's very important for us to know that that's the cardinal role of PERL in Kaduna, clearing blockages and ensuring the citizens and the government engage for effective service delivery for the common Nigerian or a Kaduna citizen at the state level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So certainly, PERL has also identified an opportunity. Before we go, I want to tell you that one major opportunity again in this action plan for all of us citizens is that KADBEAM is solely responsible now to make sure that these data blockages are addressed. They are going to be getting all the letters now. When we write and ministries are not responding, we'll be asking them, because the action plan recognizes them as the ones playing a critical role around ensuring that these information blockages are addressed. I went to Landmass Village and I saw one procurement. They said they were doing fertilizer plant for them. But really, what I came to see from what I had at hand was to visit a dump site. But the community have been informed that it is a fertilizer manufacturing plant. So you can see the discrepancy. And I can tell you that project was awarded in 2016. As at now, this year, we are just learning that that project has been revoked. After awarding a project of over 260-something million, it has been revoked. When we went asking for questions, we asked for the design of that place. We asked, we asked for the needs assessment document, just so that we know what really necessitated this project. And when we asked that retinue of questions, the ministry have been so fidgeting, not really willing to come out with some of this information. However, I think that our questions concerning that project has also moved government to take action. But we would have saved government wasting money if only we were planning and working together.